We'd done a final mix, and I watched the movie, and I realized this doesn't work. There's something wrong here.
The Fog, 1980, isn't just a ghost story. It's a masterclass in suspense, terror, and atmospheric horror. Directed by John Carpenter, the film transformed a simple coastal town into a stage for restless spirits and chilling revenge. Behind the eerie mist, practical effects, and haunting music, a world of weird stories, terrifying accidents, and behind-the-scenes secrets brought the nightmare to life. From actors confronting real fears to sets almost collapsing under the fog's weight, the making of The Fog is as unnerving as the film itself. What bizarre truths hid in the misty shadows of this cult classic? Stay with us as we uncover them. Carpenter's creepy obsession with coastal towns. John Carpenter's fascination with foggy coastal towns wasn't just cinematic, it was personal. Before filming The Fog, Carpenter scouted dozens of locations, drawn to small towns where isolation and mist could naturally create tension. He believed the fog itself could become a character, an omnipresent force, capable of hiding horrors and manipulating fear. Carpenter often spoke about childhood summers spent near coastlines, watching weather roll in over the water and imagining ghostly apparitions emerging from the mist. This obsession informed his creative decisions. Winding streets, fog-drenched harbors, and crumbling piers weren't just sets, they were vessels of dread. His attention to atmospheric detail was so extreme that crew members sometimes struggled to work in near-zero visibility, with real fog machines layered over natural mist. Carpenter's vision went beyond horror aesthetics. It tapped into primal fears of the unknown and unseen. The eerie ambiance of The Fog wasn't just on screen. It was meticulously crafted to haunt anyone stepping into the shadow of a coastal town, the real-life shipwreck that inspired the story. The ghostly revenge in The Fog has roots in history. Carpenter drew inspiration from a real-life shipwreck that occurred off the California coast, where a cargo vessel sank under mysterious circumstances, leaving a legacy of tragedy and unanswered questions. The story fascinated him. Sailors lost at sea, townspeople shaken by unexplained deaths, and whispers of curses. This historical seed became the foundation for The Fog's narrative, turning a factual maritime disaster into a supernatural tale. To enhance authenticity, Carpenter incorporated local legends, blending maritime folklore with eerie suspense. The set designers even studied old harbor architecture, ensuring that the fog-shrouded town looked like a place that could plausibly harbor restless spirits. Crew members reported that the production sometimes felt like it was haunted. Strange noises and sudden gusts of fog seemed to appear at random. The blending of real maritime tragedy with cinematic horror created a story that feels both eerily grounded and supernaturally terrifying, leaving audiences to wonder, could the past itself ever truly be at rest? Jamie Lee Curtis's secret fear of fog. Jamie Lee Curtis, already a scream queen from Halloween, faced a new type of terror on The Fog. Real fog. Unlike her usual slasher scenes, Curtis had to navigate dense, wet mist that obscured vision and muffled sound, amplifying her anxiety. She secretly confessed that the thick fog triggered a primal fear, making her feel trapped and disoriented on set. Carpenter used this fear to his advantage, often staging surprise scares just out of frame, knowing Curtis's reactions would be authentic. The actress had to balance terror with performance, giving the audience genuine dread while maintaining character integrity. Some scenes required Curtis to walk through near-zero visibility, relying solely on auditory cues and instinct, heightening both suspense and danger. Crew members admitted that Curtis's tension added a contagious energy, making other actors more alert and reactive. Her fear wasn't just a personal challenge, it became a tool, transforming her anxiety into cinematic terror that elevated the realism and dread of the ghostly fog. The fog that almost killed the crew. The fog in The Fog was more than a visual effect. It became a real hazard on set. John Carpenter insisted on thick, pervasive mist, combining natural coastal fog with powerful smoke machines. While this created the movie's signature eerie atmosphere, it also created dangerous conditions for cast and crew. Visibility was often reduced to mere feet, making movement around the wet, uneven docks treacherous. Several crew members reported near misses with equipment, tripping over props, or nearly falling into the water during night shoots. The combination of moisture, cold temperatures, and heavy machinery turned filming into a high-stakes operation. Carpenter, obsessed with authenticity, refused to compromise, insisting the fog be dense and omnipresent, which only heightened the risk. Some actors even experienced shortness of breath or disorientation while performing in the haze. Yet this danger translated to the screen. The oppressive fog feels claustrophobic, unpredictable, and alive, giving audiences a tangible sense of peril. The haunting question remains: how much of the fear on screen came from genuine risk rather than fiction? How the makeup team turned ordinary actors into ghosts. The spectral crew of The Fog didn't rely solely on CGI. They were brought to life through painstaking practical makeup. Chris Wallace and his team transformed everyday actors into horrifying, mist-shrouded ghosts, using pale foundation, sunken eyes, and grotesque prosthetics that hinted at decay without going over the top. The process was grueling. Each ghost required hours of application, layering latex, paint, and subtle detailing to create a sense of otherworldly menace. Actors had to endure long sessions in cold, damp conditions, often in near-zero visibility, which intensified the discomfort and contributed to authentic reactions on camera. The makeup team's innovation didn't stop at the actors' faces. They manipulated clothing and props to look waterlogged, tattered, and partially decomposed, enhancing the supernatural illusion. The result was terrifyingly believable. The ghosts moved through the fog like memories of death itself. Audiences felt the uncanny presence of something not quite alive, a chilling testament to practical effects, mastery, and the team's relentless dedication. The unseen special effects that terrified audiences. While the fog and ghostly makeup were visible, the fog relied on subtle, unseen effects to heighten terror. Carpenter and his team used hidden wires, strategically placed mirrors, and off-camera triggers to create movements that felt unnatural. Doors slammed with no apparent cause, shadows shifted eerily, and props sometimes appeared to move on their own. These invisible effects made the haunted town feel alive, as if the spirits were manipulating the environment. Crew members admitted that even they were startled by some of the mechanisms, highlighting just how convincing the illusions were. In addition, layered sound effects, creaking wood, distant screams, and ghostly whispers were timed perfectly with off-screen actions, making audiences feel the presence of something beyond sight. The combination of unseen technical work and practical effects created a sense of unpredictability, keeping viewers on edge. The fog proved that what isn't seen can be just as terrifying as what is, amplifying suspense and making every scene feel unpredictable and alive. A hidden homage to silent horror films. John Carpenter didn't just make a modern ghost story with The Fog, he paid subtle tribute to the silent horror era. Hidden throughout the film are nods to classic silent films, from shadowy lighting reminiscent of Nosferatu to exaggerated facial expressions in ghostly close-ups. Carpenter admired how early filmmakers created tension without dialogue, relying on atmosphere, movement, and visual storytelling. This influence is evident in sequences where the mist itself seems to act as a character, guiding the viewer's fear without explanation. Even camera angles mimic silent era techniques, with low shots and wide framing that heighten unease. The extras' performances, sometimes silent and deliberately stiff, echo the exaggerated movements of silent-era specters. Fans who notice these details are rewarded with an extra layer of cinematic appreciation, linking The Fog to a lineage of horror storytelling that predates sound. Carpenter's homage isn't overt. It lurks beneath the surface, enhancing the film's eerie timelessness while connecting modern horror to its shadowy roots in silent cinema. The stormy night that turned filming into chaos. Filming The Fog was supposed to be eerie, but one night, nature almost stole the show. A massive coastal storm rolled in unexpectedly, drenching sets, flooding docks, and whipping the fog machines into overdrive. Scenes meant to be controlled and suspenseful became chaotic and dangerous, forcing cast and crew to improvise. Jamie Lee Curtis later recalled the fear of nearly slipping into the water while trying to navigate slick piers amid blinding fog and lashing wind. Cameras were covered hastily to protect them from rain, and lighting crews struggled to maintain visibility while maintaining the right eerie ambiance. Carpenter, ever obsessed with authenticity, refused to halt production, seeing the storm as an opportunity to intensify the film's mood. The result is a palpable tension on screen, the chaos of nature blending seamlessly with supernatural terror. That night proved that real-world hazards could amplify cinematic horror, blurring the line between performance and reality in ways the script could never have predicted. Carpenter's surprising choice of sound design. John Carpenter didn't just direct The Fog, he designed its auditory terror. While many horror films relied on sudden shrieks or musical cues, Carpenter crafted a subtle, immersive soundscape that heightened unease without drawing attention to itself. He personally composed the eerie synth score, layering it with unnatural hums, creaks, and whispers that suggested the fog itself was alive. The sound design wasn't meant to announce scares. It was meant to create an omnipresent tension, a feeling that something unseen was always watching. Crew members recalled that even off-camera, Carpenter obsessed over the smallest auditory details, replaying sequences to ensure every whisper, footstep, or gust of wind contributed to fear. The combination of music and sound effects manipulated audiences subconsciously, making the fog feel tangible and the ghosts ever present. By prioritizing subtlety over obvious jumps, Carpenter ensured that viewers remained on edge throughout, proving that horror is often more terrifying when it's felt rather than seen. The lingering question: could sound alone terrify as effectively as the visual terror on screen? The creepy extras you probably didn't notice. The fog-enshrouded townspeople in The Fog weren't just background. They were carefully chosen extras meant to unsettle. Carpenter selected performers with unique facial features, height variations, and deliberate movement quirks to create a subtly disturbing effect. Many were given minimal direction, instructed to react naturally to the mist and chaos, which resulted in unpredictable, uncanny moments on camera. Their ghostly presence felt alive, as if the spirits of the shipwrecked crew were genuinely wandering among the living. Some extras improvised eerie gestures, like pausing mid-step or staring silently into the fog, which were kept in the final cut. These minor, almost invisible performances added layers of dread, reinforcing the idea that the fog itself harbored restless souls. Crew members later admitted they occasionally jumped at these extras, proving their unsettling effectiveness. The combination of intentional selection, improvisation, and Carpenter's meticulous framing transformed ordinary townspeople into haunting apparitions, elevating the film's tension and giving audiences the unnerving sense that danger lurked in every misty shadow. A deleted scene that would have changed everything. Not every terrifying moment filmed for The Fog made it to the final cut. One deleted sequence would have radically altered the story's pacing and suspense, a lengthy encounter between the ghostly crew and the townspeople in the harbor, showing more direct violence and dialogue from the spirits. Carpenter ultimately cut the scene to maintain a sense of mystery and to keep the fog itself as the primary source of tension. Production stills and scripts revealed that the scene contained unnerving prosthetics and practical effects, including glimpses of spectral sailors in grotesque detail that would have intensified the horror. Fans who have seen these remnants online often claim it would have made the ghosts almost unbearable to watch, possibly shifting the film toward gore-heavy territory rather than atmospheric dread. Carpenter's decision reflects his obsession with subtlety and suspense over explicitness. This choice reinforces a chilling truth. Sometimes what's left unseen or never released haunts the imagination far more than what appears on screen. The movie that made Fog a horror character. The Fog didn't just feature fog, it made it a living, breathing presence. Carpenter treated the mist as a character, shaping scenes around its movements and density. The fog concealed dangers, obscured threats, and created tension, forcing both characters and audiences to navigate uncertainty. Its omnipresence dictated pacing, framing, and suspense, turning a natural phenomenon into a source of terror. Actors often reacted to the fog as if it were sentient, amplifying realism. This creative choice transformed a simple weather condition into a cinematic villain, proving that horror doesn't always need monsters. Sometimes, it only needs an unstoppable, creeping force. How real weather threatened the schedule. Filming The Fog relied heavily on both natural and artificial mist, which made real weather a constant threat. Unexpected storms, sudden winds, and shifts in coastal fog often delayed shoots, sometimes for hours or even days. Sets became slippery and dangerous, forcing actors and crew to improvise mid-scene while maintaining suspense and continuity. Carpenter refused to compromise on atmospheric authenticity, insisting the fog remain dense and consistent. These weather challenges tested patience, creativity, and safety, but also inadvertently added realism. The unpredictable conditions heightened tension on screen, giving audiences a genuine sense of danger lurking within the mist. The ghostly mist created with a secret trick. The iconic mist in The Fog wasn't entirely natural. It was crafted with a clever combination of smoke machines, dry ice, and a secret mixture of glycerin and water. This formula allowed the fog to hang low, swirl unnaturally, and catch light in ways that made it seem alive. Crew members described it as mesmerizing but difficult to control, often requiring multiple passes to get the perfect shot. The technique created a dense, eerie atmosphere that obscured vision and added suspense. Carpenter's ingenuity turned a simple visual effect into a haunting presence, making the fog itself a silent, terrifying character in the film. Actors' real reactions to spontaneous scares. Carpenter thrived on genuine terror, often orchestrating surprises to elicit real reactions from his cast. Jamie Lee Curtis and others were occasionally startled by off-camera noises, sudden fog movements, or hidden props. These unscripted moments forced authentic expressions of fear, which were captured on film and kept in the final cut. The unpredictability added realism, making audiences feel the tension rather than merely watching it. Crew members admitted that even they sometimes jumped during takes, illustrating how effective the method was. Carpenter's blending of planned horror and spontaneous fear made The Fog's scares visceral, blurring the line between performance and real terror. The shipwreck prop that shocked everyone. One of the film's most unforgettable props was the shipwreck itself, a dilapidated, partially submerged vessel used to depict the haunted mariner. Built with meticulous detail, its rusted hull, broken masts, and eerie interiors created a palpable sense of danger. Crew members reported near accidents while maneuvering around it, adding to the tension during filming. Carpenter insisted on keeping the wreck authentic, refusing to sanitize or overly stabilize it for safety, which made scenes feel unpredictable and alive. The prop became more than a backdrop. It was a silent character, exuding menace and history, embodying the tragedy and wrath of the fog-shrouded spirits, the subtle political undertones hidden in the script. Beneath the ghostly horror of the fog, Carpenter wove subtle political commentary. The vengeful spirits of the Mariner crew weren't just supernatural threats. They symbolized the consequences of corruption, greed, and betrayal within the coastal town. Props, and even the town's history subtly mirrored real-world social dynamics, suggesting that past sins could literally come back to haunt the present. Carpenter's genius lay in embedding these themes without overshadowing the horror, allowing viewers to experience suspense and dread while subconsciously confronting ethical and societal decay. This layering made the film resonate on a deeper, more unsettling level than typical slasher fare. A cameo that fans still debate. The Fog contains a brief, almost invisible cameo that has fueled fan speculation for decades. A shadowy figure appears in the mist during a harbor scene, leading some to claim it's John Carpenter himself, while others insist it's a hidden nod to a crew member. The ambiguity was intentional. Carpenter loved subtle Easter eggs that rewarded eagle-eyed viewers. This fleeting appearance adds an eerie layer, as the figure seems to watch events unfold, unseen by the characters, but noticed by the audience. It's a small detail, yet it deepens the film's haunting atmosphere and sparks endless debate among horror aficionados. The ending that left the crew terrified. Filming the finale of The Fog pushed cast and crew to their limits. The combination of dense mist, practical effects, and the climactic reveal of the ghostly Mariner crew created a genuinely terrifying environment. Crew members recalled being startled by the realistic prosthetics and sudden movements, often screaming or freezing mid-scene. Even seasoned actors like Jamie Lee Curtis admitted the tension was palpable, with the fog making every shadow unpredictable. Carpenter's insistence on authenticity meant no shortcuts were taken, leaving the crew to experience fear alongside the characters. This immersive horror contributed to the film's unnerving realism and enduring legacy. The film's influence on modern horror fog tropes. The Fog didn't just scare audiences, it redefined how fog could be used in horror. Carpenter's technique of making mist a living, threatening presence influenced countless films, TV shows, and even video games. From dense coastal fog hiding lurking dangers to supernatural shrouds that create suspense, modern horror owes a debt to this classic. Directors continue to mimic Carpenter's method, using obscured visibility, sound, and movement to turn a simple weather condition into a character in its own right. The Fog proved that terror could emerge from atmosphere itself, cementing its legacy in cinematic history. The Fog isn't just a horror film. It's a masterclass in atmosphere, suspense, and inventive terror. From real fog hazards to hidden homages and ghostly effects, the movie's secrets elevate it beyond a typical slasher. Dive deeper, comment your favorite fact, and don't forget to subscribe for more shocking film truths